Welcome back to Midweek Politics. I'm David Pakman. Walid Shoebat has been a guest on our show before. He's participated in acts of terror against Israel, was imprisoned in the Russian compound in Jerusalem for some time. Thank you for calling in today. Great to speak to you again.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So your bio that was sent over says that you once read the Bible and it convinced you that everything you thought about Jews was wrong, and it in fact convinced you to convert to Christianity. Now, my question is, why Christianity instead of Judaism?
Well, Christianity and the essence of Judaism in the Christian view is one and the same. You know, the Jewish faith broke and basically branched between one party saying Jesus was not the Messiah and the other party saying Jesus is the Messiah.
Sure. So why did you pick the one you did?
Well, I read the New Testament, and everything in the New Testament that I read, offer yourselves as a living sacrifice. That seems to be the opposite of what was in the Quran. I saw also elements in the book of Revelation to be matching what's in the book of Daniel, and the statements that was made in the New Testament. They will be the battle will be between the children of Hagar and the children of Sarah. The children of Sarah that stemmed from Jerusalem, and Hagar from Sinai in Arabia. So Arabia clearly mentioned in the New Testament as well as in the book of Isaiah. So the struggle with Arabia was foretold in the Bible thousands of years ago. So I saw the prophetic element in the New Testament to be as evidence as well that the New Testament was also inspired by God, the same God that inspired Isaiah and Ezekiel and everyone else.
So am I right in believing that you have a literal interpretation of the New Testament?
Yes, sir.
So I'm curious, and we've talked a little bit about this before years ago, when you think about what you used to subscribe to when you were a Muslim and now as a Christian, do you believe then that you are going to be, are you going to heaven essentially for the acts that you committed in your prior life? And I'm using the term prior life. I don't know if you call it that.
Anyone, not just me, but anyone, people have maybe drank alcohol or drunkards or committed all kinds of misbehaviors, drugs, whatever. Sins end up, we're short of the glory of God. And the New Testament is clear about this. So, all sinners will end up in hell had they not accepted God's gift. That's the Messiah, Jesus Christ, in the New Testament. So it didn't matter if I'm committing terrorism or the other person is committing other acts. We all commit evil, every one of us. None of us is good.
Is being drunk at the same level as bombing a bank? Or you tell me.
Of course not. Of course not. There's different levels of evils.
Sure.
However, abortion is just as bad. Somebody kills their child, is just as bad because taking someone's life is murder.
So you say, if I understand correctly, abortion is as bad as bombing a bank in Bethlehem.
Well, of course, look, you would agree with me that killing a child after it's born is just as bad as bombing a bank, but the question becomes is why do we kill the child inside the womb? Well, obviously, when a child is born, there's a bond built between the mother and the child. I've never seen a mother who wanted to murder a child after it comes out of the womb.
I have. We hear some strange news stories, I'll tell you.
Well, yes, I know, but it's very rare.
It is rare.
Yeah, but the question is, why is it okay to kill the child in the womb, but out of the womb, it's not okay? Is the whole issue is a child being in the dark womb, or he's being in the light of the world? That doesn't seem to be compelling evidence or reason to destroy a life.
So you say it's a psychological thing with the mother. Let me ask you, in preparing for our interview today, I was reading about many claims that some say that there's many evangelical Christians who are falsely claiming to have been Muslim terrorists in their youth. One of the main points that they make is that the ideology of Islamic jihad attacks became prevalent not until the late 1980s, meaning that individuals around your age wouldn't have been in their youth during that time. What's your reaction to that?
Well, that's obviously incorrect, because if you look at the Muslim Brotherhood's influence, when we talk about Islamic terrorism, we're not simply talking about Hamas and when Hamas was instituted. We are talking about the Muslim Brotherhood's activity in the region. The Muslim Brotherhood was born in 1924, way before I was ever born. And the influence in the region, in Syria, Jordan, the Palestinian area, was immense, even during the 70s. So that is, no one can deny that. However, I must say, having said that, that they had a struggle, the Muslim Brotherhood and the Islamists had a struggle with the secularists at that time. The PLO and the Islamists kind of didn't get along.
Understood.
While we were PLO terrorists, didn't mean that we didn't aspire for Islamist, goals. By far, the Islamist goals were taught to us in high school.
I understand.
In fact, I can get curriculum in the high school from that time to prove that Islamists was very active in that region.
Do you believe that it does exist, though? Are there these evangelical Christians who are falsely claiming to have been Muslim terrorists? Is that a group that you would say can be clearly identified?
Yes, sir. There are. There are people who come and make claims, and all sorts of claims for all sorts of reasons, especially from countries like Egypt who want to immigrate to America. They claim all kinds of things. They even claim to be converts to Christianity, so on and so forth. I run into them. So that's true. That's not, no one can deny that.
And what would you say? So you're saying their motivation is mostly being able to come to the U.S.?
U.S., money, this, that. That's true, yes. It happens.
Last time you were on the show, you told a riveting story about your involvement in this bombing of a bank that I alluded to. Since then, I've received a number of emails after the interview, and one links to a Jerusalem Post article that I'm sure you're familiar with.
I love this subject. I mean, I was waiting for years for somebody to interview me on that subject.
Well,
Nobody does.
Let me tell our audience what the Jerusalem Post article said. The article says that both the bank itself and some of what they are saying are your relatives said it's just not true that you were involved with that bombing. You have said, and correct me if I'm wrong, that it was not, they didn't interview the right people and that it's just not true. How would they get that idea?
Well, let's remember, when I mentioned the story of the bombing, I did say that the bombing was as a failed bombing. The bomb exploded on the roof of the bank. No one was killed, no one was hurt. I had several witnesses. In fact, the interviewer from the Jerusalem Post was George Loikin.
Right.
He tried to send this article to the Christian edition, and they rejected it. In fact, they turned it down, and he somehow snuck it to the features edition. When the Jerusalem Post examined the evidence I gave them, including testimonies from witnesses who was there when the bombing happened, I said, this guy did not want to even interview the witnesses that I provided. Now, banks don't have all these records of every single bombing from the 70s. They don't do that.
Don't they? I mean, you would think bombings, it's not like a new account that's been opened. It's a bombing, right?
Absolutely not. If there is no injuries, no deaths, it just it vanishes into oblivion.
It's hard to
there
believe.
Are witnesses. But now, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Now, I have supplied witnesses to this, and in fact, the Jerusalem Post felt so bad about this article that came out, they allowed me to issue a rebuttal. Have you read the rebuttal?
I have not.
Oh, there you go. There's the problem. Had you read the rebuttal, you'd have no questions on who on the authenticity of my record. In fact, you have not examined my record.
Well, in all fairness, I didn't. What I read was a summary of the article and a summary of your rebuttal.
Yeah, okay. Well, if you look at Daniel Pipes, he examined my records. I went there with papers and documentation, and Daniel Pipes is reputable. He's not going to go out there and lying about this, and he says he believes the story is absolutely accurate and true. In fact, I've given several accounts of my relatives. Jawad Yunus, who was the attorney of Abu Zubaydah. Abu Zubaydah was one of the henchmen of Osama bin Laden. This is my cousin. He was extradited from Israel for involvement in terrorism. This is the people who testified against me from my own family. And remember, if you look at the statements of my own family, they themselves said that I was in prison. Here's a bunch of family members who wanted to deny my record, ended up saying that I was in prison. When the New York Times called me up, they said, do you have a certificate that you were in prison? I said, I do not. They said, well, then your story is not true. So now the story was proven to be true from my own family's confession that I was in prison, recruited in prison.
Well,
I planted a package. In fact, they said I planted a package in the bank. They don't believe there was explosive charges in it. How would somebody remember from the 1970s that I planted a package in a bank as such an uneventful event, yet they remember it? They know about this event themselves.